I'm the native British English teacher with the Scottish accent. I get so many questions to my social media channels, on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, etc. And so many that is, difficult to reply to everyone individually. So we've put them together, and every week we will go through a dozen or so questions and very, very common questions. And hopefully that's really going to help elevate your English. Now, there's a dozen or so totally random questions. There's no kind of theme to them, totally random. So hopefully there's going to be something there that's going to really interest you or tickle your taste buds, as we say in English. So let's get into Ask Ajarn Ken. First question we've got, a very, very easy question. Very, very easy question. And what's the difference between using among and amongst with an ST at the end? Among and amongst. Do you know the difference between among and amongst? Well, really, there is no significant difference in the meaning between among and amongst. There's not really any difference at all. They're both prepositions. They both indicate that something is included in a group of people, in a group of things, or a group of places. So that's the first thing I'll say. There's no significant difference between among and amongst. The main difference that we'll look at is among is more commonly used in American English, while amongst is more commonly used in British English. But please remember, both of them are totally correct and both of them can be used interchangeably. But in some cases, amongst with an ST may be preferred by some people because of its archaic and formal connotations. For example, in a legal context or a religious context, amongst may be used to convey a sense of tradition, for example. So overall, the choice between among and amongst is really a matter of personal preference or where you come from, what regional convention. But the meaning between amongst and among is totally the same. There is no difference between them. I guess it's like the difference between while and whilst. Whilst is quite a British English thing to say. Well, while will be used in American English. But that's not to say British will use while and British will use among also. So there you go. Hopefully that's answered your question with the difference between among and amongst. In a nutshell, there's no difference at all. Amongst is maybe preferred for the British English, and among is maybe preferred amongst American English. But they are both interchangeable. Okay. I say among and I say amongst. Depends. Amongst will show, I guess, because it's quite formal, it might show a sense of tradition. So there we go. Hopefully that's answered your question. Let's see if you can make an example and I'll check it for you. So question number 2, it's about an adverb, and the adverb is the adverb of barely. Barely. It's quite a difficult one, isn't it? A lot of my students will try and use barely, but sometimes they get it wrong, or it's generally a higher level of English that will try and use it. So let's get into it. What does barely mean? What does the adverb barely mean to you? Well, barely means almost not or hardly. Almost not or hardly. Okay. It's used to describe a situation where something is just about possible or when something almost did not happen. Okay. Almost did not happen. That's the key to using barely. We'll use it in the negative sense. Okay. When something almost did not happen. So here's some examples. She barely passed the exam. She barely passed the exam. This means that she did pass the exam, but she almost failed it. She managed to pass it with a very low score. Okay, so she barely passed the exam. She did do it, but she almost failed it. She passed it with a very low score. Perhaps the pass mark was 60%, and she got 60% or 61%. So she barely passed the exam. Another example, I can barely hear you. I can barely hear you. This means that you can hear, but almost not. It means that you are speaking perhaps very softly, or there's perhaps a lot of background noise, and you can almost not make out what someone is saying. Okay, so I can barely hear you. I can hear you a little bit. I can't hear you clearly. You're speaking very softly, or there's background noise. I almost cannot hear you. I can barely hear you. He barely escaped the fire. This means he became very close to being caught in the fire, but he managed to get away just in time. He barely escaped the fire. He escaped, but barely. Just almost he didn't, almost he wasn't able to escape. So there we go. Barely means almost, not, or hardly. Similar adverbs to barely could include hardly or scarcely or just. Now these adverbs are quite different because they each have their own unique meaning and uses. Hardly is used to describe something that almost never happens or is not likely to happen. Scarcely is used to describe something that is in short supply or very limited. And just is used to describe something that happened only a short time ago or it happened only one time. Give you an example using hardly. He hardly ever goes to the gym. This means he almost never goes. Okay. There was scarcely any food left in the house. There was very little food in the house. I just finished my homework. I only finished my homework a short time ago. So there we go for barely. Just remember that we are describing a situation that almost never happened. Okay. Describing it that it almost never happened. So there we go. Barely. Let's see if you can make your own example sentence with barely. And I'll be more than happy to check it for you. Yeah. Let's see if you can start using it properly. Barely. Good one. Next question we've got is good morning. When do we use I gonna, I gotta, I wanna? I gonna, I gotta, I wanna. These are informal contractions, yeah? Gonna, gotta, and wanna. When do we use them? Gonna, so what do they actually mean? Gonna means going to. Usually here the person's written it down wrong, but it will be I'm gonna. I've got to. I wanna. I'm gonna. I am going to. I'm gonna go to the cinema on Friday. I'm going to go to the cinema on Friday. I've got to speak to you. I have got to speak to you. It's very important. I want to speak to you. I want to speak to you. So these are very informal contractions and we use them in everyday conversation. I'm gonna, I've, I have, I've got to, and I wanna. Very informal contractions. I'm gonna, I am going to, I gotta, I have got to, and I wanna, I want to. So we use them in informal situations, keep them in informal situations. They help us speak, I guess, more smoothly and more fluently when we're speaking these contractions. So yeah, don't use them in a formal situation, and make sure that you are using them correctly. Let's see if you can use an example sentence, and I will check them for you. The next question we've got is, hello, sir. Please explain the difference with half sister and stepsister. What's the difference between half sister and stepsister? Okay, so half sister, stepsister. Let's take them individually. Half sister means that she's your sister. You maybe share the same parent, one of the parents, okay, but the other parent will be different. For example, imagine that I have a sister and she's my half sister. So perhaps we have the same father or the same mother in common, only one of them. That would be a half sister. Okay. And stepsister is very different. Stepsister is a new sister that comes into the family. Perhaps your mother, we'll use your mother got married again to another man, your stepfather, and this father had children from a previous relationship. So these new children come into the family. These would be your step family, your stepsister, your step brother, your step cousin, for example. And half sister is you share the same mother or you share the same father, not both. Okay. So, in a nutshell, easy, yeah? Half sister, you share the same parent, one of them. Stepsister is a new family member coming in. Your mother or your father has married again, and their family is now coming into your family. So, I hope that answers your question. Half sister and stepsister. It's important that you know the difference between them. Yeah. Cool. Next question is how to explain and use the expression hell or high water. How do you explain or use the expression hell or high water? I guess it's quite a difficult idiom to use or expression to use. Usually we will say come hell or high water. We will use it with come hell or high water. And this expression just means that someone is really determined to do something, no matter what obstacles, no matter what difficulties they might face. It implies they will do it regardless of any challenges or obstacles that may arise. Okay, so come hell or high water, you are really determined to do something, no matter the obstacles and no matter the difficulties that you face. So, for example, I promised my friend I would attend his wedding come hell or high water. I promised my friend I would attend his wedding come hell or high water. And this just means no matter what happens, the speaker is determined to attend the wedding. Even if there are difficulties or challenges getting there, or difficulties that's going to prevent them from doing so. Imagine you live in the UK and your friend lives on the other side of the world in Australia or New Zealand. So they can say, I promise you, I will attend your wedding come hell or high water. I will be there. It's going to be difficult for me to come because I'm on the other side of the world, but come hell or high water, I'm very determined and I'm going to go there. Another example, the football team was determined to win the championship come hell or high water. This means that the team was willing to face any challenges or obstacles to achieve their goal of winning the trophy, winning the championship. So, come hell or high water, you're going to face the challenges, you're going to face the obstacles to achieve your goal. She was determined to finish the marathon come hell or high water. She was really determined to finish the marathon come hell or high water. And this means that she was not going to give up, no matter how difficult the marathon might be. She was really determined to finish it. So, come hell or high water, you're really determined to overcome the obstacles and the challenges and the difficulties to achieve your goal. So, some similar expressions might be to include at all costs or no matter what. So these expressions have similar meanings, but they're used in slightly different context. At all costs means that someone is willing to do something regardless of the cost or regardless of the consequences. So he was determined to climb the mountain at all costs. He was willing to do whatever it takes to climb the mountain, even if it meant putting himself in danger or risking his life. Okay, at all costs. Do something irrespective or regardless of the consequences at all costs. Another similar one would be no matter what. And this means that someone is determined to do something regardless of any circumstances that might arise. She was going to finish her project no matter what. This means she was determined to finish her project regardless of any obstacles that might arise. So there we go. Come hell or high water. Great expression, meaning that you're really determined to do something no matter the obstacles or the challenges they might face. So hopefully, come hell or high water, you are going to understand that and improve your English skills, right? So let's see if you can make an example of the expression or with the expression come hell or high water. Very stressful, very much an emphatic expression that we use. Let's see if you can make an example. Come hell or high water, what are you going to do? Let me know in the examples that you have. And as always, I will check them for you. Come hell or high water, I will. Okay, so what's the difference? Next question. What's the difference between house and home? What's the difference between house? Very, very common question, this, yeah? The difference between house and home. Okay, let's look at the normal meaning of both of them. If we use both of them as a noun, we can say my house, my home. Yeah. A house, a house gives or implies a connotation of a building, right? A house. That's my house. Home, although it's a noun as well, is very much shows a feeling for the place that you live. It gives a warm feeling when you describe the place you live as your home. Okay. So that's the main difference there. A house is a building and a home is a nice, warm feeling place where you live. So, but what we can also use home as an adverb, right? We can say I'm going home. We never say I'm going to home. We say I'm going home. Home in this respect is an adverb of place. Okay. So I'm going to home. No, I'm going home. It's an adverb of place. Home is also a verb. I'm going to home some stray dogs that I've rescued. I'm going to home. I'm going to give a home to these stray dogs, these stray animals that need a home. So I'm going to home some stray dogs. I'm going to house. It's pretty similar as well. I'm going to house some stray dogs that I have rescued. So I'm going to house means I'm going to look after them at the place I live. I'm going to home some stray dogs means I'm going to find a home for them. So that's the difference in that respect. Okay. So in a nutshell, house and home, when used as nouns, house is a building, home is a nice place, a nice warm feeling. Home is also an adverb. I'm going home, not I'm going to home, an adverb of place. And a verb, I'm going to home some rescued animals in a place. I'm going to find a home for them. And I'm going to house some rescued animals. I'm going to house some rescued animals. I'm going to bring those animals and they can live in my place. So there you go. The difference between house and home. Quite complex, right? Let's see if you can, you know, make your own example. And as always, I will check them for House and home. Remember and know the difference and don't make the mistake. I'm going to home. I'm going home. Here's another question. Next question. Could you tell me the difference between local and express tickets? Local and express tickets. I guess you mean when you go and buy um, a bus ticket, right? If you buy, in a nutshell, very, very easy, straightforward. If you buy uh, a local ticket, it means it gets you from the place you're leaving to your destination, but it maybe takes a long time to get there. You know, it goes around all the villages, stops off on all the routes to get you to your destination. That would be the local ticket. You know, it stops off, maybe has 20 stops, for example, to get you from where you are to where you want to be. This would be a local ticket. Stops off at all the local villages, all the local towns to get to your destination. An express ticket, on the other hand, will mean that you get from your place to your destination very, very quickly. There might be a limited number of stops. Maybe the bus will never stop until it gets to the destination. Maybe it will stop once or twice until the destination. So that express tickets are usually more expensive, right? So a local ticket will stop in many, many different stops on the bus, and the express ticket might stop once, might never stop. But the idea is to get you to your destination as quickly as possible. Get you to your destination in an express way. So there we go, local and express ticket. Good question. Very, very practical question to know the difference between them. Local will take a long time, express will get you to your destination quicker. Next question we've got is when to use the expression mind you. Mind you. When do we use the expression mind you? Really common expression for natives that we will use it almost every day. And what does it mean? Well, mind you is a phrase that is used to introduce a contrast or a statement. It's often used to add further clarification or to emphasize a particular point. So you're saying something and you might start giving a contrast so you can say mind you and then you add additional information. Give you an example. She's a great cook, mind you, but she's not very good at baking. She's a great cook, mind you, she's not very good at baking. In this sentence, mind you is used to introduce a contrasting statement. You're saying that although she's a good cook, she's not good at baking. So you're giving her a compliment. You're a really good cook. Mind you, you cannot bake. So a cook is someone who will use a cooker to put together a dish, and a baking is someone who uses the oven, like cooks bakes like sweets or bread or something like that. So she's a great cook, mind you, but she's not very good at baking. So we're using a contrasting statement. Another example could be it was a difficult journey, mind you, but it was worth it in the end. It was a difficult journey, mind you, but it was worth it in the end. In the sentence, mind you, is used to qualify the statement. The speaker is saying, or you're saying, that the journey was difficult, but the end was worth it. It was a really difficult journey, mind you, but it was worth it in the end. Next example, he's a bit of a troublemaker, mind you, but he's also very talented. In this sentence, mind used is used to add further clarification. You're saying that although this person is a troublemaker, he's up to no good, he's also very talented. He's a bit of a troublemaker. Mind you, he's also very talented. So we're showing a contrast there. We're giving extra information. So, mind you, is a great one to use. We're going to introduce extra information as a contrast or to qualify something. Okay. Some similar expressions to mind you include however and although. And these expressions are similar, but they're used in different contexts. However is used as a contrasting statement to add further information, and although is used to introduce a contrasting statement that is against what might be expected. For example, she's a great cook, however, she's not good at baking. This means that although she's a great cook, she's not good at baking. Okay. It's very, very similar to mind you, but mind you is really emphasizing it. It was a difficult journey, although it was worth it in the end. The end result was worth it. So there we go. Mind you is a phrase that we use to introduce a contrasting or qualifying statement. We will use it to add further clarification or to emphasize a particular point. Mind you. Very difficult. Mind you, a lot of natives will use it in an everyday situation. I failed my exam. Mind you, I didn't study enough. So we're giving qualification to that statement, mind you. So hopefully you understand that. Let me know your examples, and as always, I will check them for you. So the last one we've got here. What is the meaning of pun? What is a pun? What is a pun? You've probably heard of pun, right? We will use it all the time. Native speakers will use them all the time. And it's really a play on words. We're playing with the words or the phrase because it might have multiple meanings or words that sound similar but have different meanings. And we do that to create a humorous or clever effect. Okay. So when you use a pun, you're playing with the words because the words have multiple meanings, or maybe they sound similar but have different meanings. And we use them to create a humorous or clever effect. I'll give you a couple of examples of a couple of puns. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. In this pun, the word dressing, salad dressing, has two meanings. Could mean a sauce used to add flavor to a salad. The second meaning is getting dressed means to put on clothes. So the pun makes a joke by using the second meaning in a surprising way. So why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. Normally, salad dressing is the sauce you put on a salad, but here we're using it to, in a surprising way, to show that the salad is putting on clothes, just to make a joke. It's a good one to use, right? Second one, why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired. In this pun, the word tired sounds like tired, meaning fatigued or lacking energy, but it's spelled slightly differently, and it means the rubber part of a wheel. So this pun makes a joke by playing the words different meanings. So why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired. It had two tires, but here we're meaning it was too tired. It was very fatigued. It was lacking energy. You get it? So the last one we'll use is I used to play the piano by ear, but now I use my hand. Ha ha. In this phrase, the in this pun, the phrase play by ear means to play music without reading it. Okay, so if you play music by ear, you play music without reading the music. But the phrase use my hands suggests that the speaker is now playing the music with sheet music and he's reading the notes instead of listening to it by with his ears. Okay. So I used to play piano by ear, but now I use my hands. I used to play piano by listening to the notes, but now I use my hands. So what it's saying here as a recap, I used to play the piano by ear, not with your ear, using your ears, but you use it with your hands. It's really that's an overview of puns. Humor. They say humor doesn't really travel from country to country. But puns are really important when you get to the country to understand. Maybe you don't find it funny, but to understand the meanings and the context that they can use. Because puns are used in all types of writing, literature, advertising, and comedy. And they're also used in everyday conversations to add humor and cleverness to what is being said. So it's a really good idea to start to if you're if you're intermediate and above English learner, it's really good to start looking at puns and why what does this mean? Look into the reasons why, what are the double meanings in these sentences. It will really elevate your English and it will really, give you a different viewpoint to English language. We might do some more puns at a later date. So there we go. We've got a few questions in there. Hopefully, it's given you, an idea of the answers to these questions. Obviously, they're very short lessons, so by all means, go ahead and look and see if you can start using any of these expressions. And as always, leave your example sentences below. And as always, I will check them for you. You can check Ajarn Ken out on the socials, Get English Tips at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, or on your favorite podcast platform. So there we go. We'll do another Ask Ajarn Ken next time. If you've got any questions you want to ask me, leave them on my socials. And as always, I will answer them for you. Head along to getenglishtips.com and you can join our newsletter, get updates on new English lessons. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed that. And I'll speak to you very, very soon. Bye for now.